want to come to you, Tushar Gandhi, because you and others in Mumbai have drafted a petition condemning the Maharashtra government for allowing the thugs to get away. Now, you seem to be among the very few voices in public life speaking out. Most people in Mumbai, particularly the celebrities, don't want to say a word.
Yeah, Rajdeep, I don't have to worry because I live in a rented apartment, so the threat of the bulldozer won't work on me, and I'm not afraid of goons, so that threat also doesn't deter me. So I can afford to raise my voice against such kind of muscle man attitude that has become a very it's become a normal habit of people in power. When they can't do what really matters, they resort to such thuggery to establish their dominance and show off their strength. It's reprehensible trend.
But
in
why do you
democracy.
think? No, but why do you think so many people are not? Why do you think celebrities and many Mumbaikars are unwilling to speak out? Is it the fear factor? At the end of the day, people fear that if it is Kunal Kamra tomorrow, if they come out in his support, they will be targeted next.
Yes, it is definitely the fear factor because we see that hate, abuse, uncouth language, when it is used by politicians, even the legal process is not done against them. But if an ordinary citizen raises their voice, then they are brutalized, they are traumatized, and they're terrorized. These are terror tactics. These are urban terrorists working under the patronage of the government of the day.
Okay, let me come to you, Samir Soni, for a moment. I know you don't want to refer to specific political parties. I take your point, but the fact is that I find very few. I tried today to speak to stand-up comedians to join the show, to actors to join the show. Everyone said, please don't involve me in this. We don't want to get involved. Now, if you don't get involved and speak, then the Shiv Sena or the thugs who are responsible for these activities in Mumbai even get more emboldened. Why is it that so many of you who are in the celebrity world of Mumbai never speak up?
Rajdeep, I can't speak for other people, what their reason is. Either they're scared, they're not sure. But as far as I'm concerned, I think freedom of speech, or right to speech, is a very ambiguous and an extremely powerful right you have. You know, I mean, with a lot of freedom comes a lot of power, and with that comes a lot of responsibility. Which means if you want to say something, you have to be sure what you're saying, where you're saying, and when you're saying. That's just the basic thing. So the big thing that comes in, where does
but does that justify violence? Samir, there is one part where freedom of speech you say is ambiguous. What is unambiguous is the violence. Private property being demolished simply because a stand-up comedian did an act in a hotel studio. Surely that's where you should draw the line. Tomorrow it could be a film set.
Okay. No, okay. Like I was saying that I have my own circle of freedom. And how do we know that I touch your circle of freedom? And that's where, the contradiction starts. And as far as the reaction is concerned, who is to say who is enraged how? I mean, and you know very well the fact that if a lot of YouTubers or, people who engage people in YouTube and stuff like that, they make these comments about politicians, about film stars, because they want to get a reaction. And that's in that lies the fun of it. That you crack a joke at the PM or VPPM or an actor, and everybody has a big laugh. But when you push something, you will get a pushback.
The pushback cannot involve violence, Samir.
And why I am not involved is
the pushback cannot involve violence. There must be a
no.
line.
I'm not. Look, no. Exactly. I know, but who and what is the line?
Okay.
You know very well. A few years back, there was this spokesperson for a certain party who referred to the prophet of a certain community. And people took offense to that, and she was banned from the party for the next 2-3 years. So when this comes to these kind of things, where do you draw the line? It's always between have and have-nots. The people who have the power, they will react as harshly, as softly as they can. And it's for the law and the judge to take its own course. But to me is that if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. You have no business being there. Because you know the country you live in. You didn't think that you will talk about so-and-so and nothing's going to happen to you. Whether what they did is not right and was overdone. I will not debate that at all. Because that's for the law to decide.
Okay, I want to bring in Bharat Dabolkar at this point. Samir Soni saying, how are we going to draw the line that if you're in the field of stand-up comedy, you want a response from politicians. Sometimes politicians respond, they get enraged and resort to what I call Tokshahi, or we know as Tokshahi. Bharat Dabolkar, you interestingly used to do satire all those years ago. Do you approve of what the Shiv Sena did yesterday?
No, I'll tell you what, Rajdeep, I can answer your question in two ways. For the last 35 years or more, I have been doing political satires where I've made fun of politicians, I've made fun of prime ministers, heads of different parties, and I've done that all over the country, all over the world. And I've never got into trouble because I know where the Lakshman Resha is. You don't get personal. You make fun of a politician, which is allowed. I don't think it's a crime to make fun of a politician. But you don't get personal. You don't toe the line of another political party to make fun of somebody else. I've done that for 35 years. I've done it more than
but how can that justify violence? No, Bharat Dabolkar, I'm sorry. I am talking, you see, if what you're saying, that you know where to draw the line, I've not got personal. Are you telling me if someone gets personal, then you have the right to go and smash the hotel studio?
I think his action was wrong, but the reaction was wronger. I don't think anybody has the right to go and smash a studio or file an FIR. You can reprimand him. You can't do the kinds of things that the Shiv Sena people have done. That's completely wrong. I don't agree with that. But I am a lawyer, and I know Constitution more than most of these people who keep on flashing the copies of Constitution. That in Constitution, with your fundamental right to say what you want to say, there's a proviso that says, we have a famous saying that says, your right to wave your hand ends where the other man's cheek begins. You have a restriction on your fundamental rights. You can't misuse that. You can't say, I have a freedom to say what I want to say. You don't have that freedom.
Okay. I want to bring in Sumant Raman at this moment because Sumant, all the focus has been on Mumbai. And what has been diluted in the process is what happened in Chennai, where a YouTuber claims that his house was also ransacked. Now, there is an argument of selective outrage, that the liberals outrage because the Shiv Sena is the culprit in Mumbai, don't outrage because the DMK and the Congress are being accused of using their goons to target a YouTuber. How do you respond to this argument of selective outrage?
Outrage tends to be targeted at whoever you want to target, so therefore it is quite selective. But Rajdeep, I'm sort of a little surprised and saddened at what I've heard. There is freedom of speech which is guaranteed under the Constitution, but very, very importantly, the only limits that have been set on the freedom of speech can be enforced only by the state, not by somebody. If you feel offended, you cannot go and do the enforcement yourself. That is why if somebody was offended by Kunal Kamra, the solution would have been to go to court, not to go and vandalize the studio. So I think that people are missing the point here. Nobody is saying that freedom of speech is unrestricted. I agree that there have to be reasonable restrictions. But the only entity that can restrict that freedom, according to our Constitution, if you believe in our Constitution, is the state. It can't
but that's true of Tamil Nadu as much as Maharashtra.
Taking the law
that's
into
true
their
as
own
much
hands.
of Maharashtra. That's true of Tamil Nadu as much as Maharashtra.
And the manner. Let me complete this. What has happened to Sauk Shankar is an appalling incident. Now let me tell you, these people who attacked his house did not even bother to conceal themselves. They are on video. At least in the Maharashtra Kunal Kamra incident, an FIR has been filed, 11 people have been arrested. Okay, they have got bail, whatever, they have been produced before a magistrate. In Chennai, till I last heard, there is no FIR. Forget calling these people for enquiry or arresting them. And there is Forget the police having to identify them. Public have identified them. No action is taken. Across India, it is the same story, irrespective of whichever party is in power. When in the opposition, you will fight for freedom of speech. And when you become the ruling party, you will trample. See what Revant Reddy has done, government has done with those lady journalists in Telangana. Make no mistake, there is no BJP, no Congress, no DMK, no Shiv Sena. They are all the same and they care two hoots for your freedom of speech if they are criticized. Period.
Okay. I want to at this moment, Samir Soni, you wanted to respond. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to respond to Sumanji that what he's saying is more of a matter of law, the policing. You're responsible for your action if you break law, which is vis-a-vis destroying property. Surely you should have to be held by, for it. And it's got nothing to do with freedom of speech. So that's true across the border. So I don't know why that is so relevant in this particular case. And as
No,
far
no,
as,
it's relevant. It's relevant in
the
this
government is
particular case
concerned.
because I had on my show the Shiv Sena Yuva Sena leader who led the mob, Rahul Kunal, yesterday, and he was happy to take responsibility. Now, if you are going to take responsibility happily for a violent act, that suggests an element of impunity.
But
Beyond a point you can't be touched. FIR will be filed,
But
you'll be
Rajdeep,
arrested, you'll wave to the crowd and get
Rajdeep,
bail the next morning.
Yeah,
Or the same
That's
evening.
completely
Rajdeep,
wrong.
but doesn't-
That is not allowed. That's completely wrong.
Rajdeep,
Or
no,
in Tamil
okay,
Nadu's case, no FIR also.
Rajdeep,
Right. Yes,
doesn't
Samir.
No, listen, Rajdeep. When you say these people, they come on TV and they take glory on it or feel great about it, don't you inside feel guilty about that? Because you take these odd incidents and make it nationwide.
No,
You give them the glory.
I
You give them
believe
the
they should be
platform.
exposed.
I mean, a couple of weeks back,
I'm not
there was
giving a
one-
platform. I want to expose them. The country must know
You're not
that there are
exposing
people.
it. No. It is. No, Rajdeep, what you're doing is selective exposure. You're taking some random guy who was having a beverage and some chicken in a place he shouldn't be doing it and became national news. He feels like a hero. I feel stupid watching it, talking about him. Is that a national issue that someone had a beer or chicken somewhere?
No.
Surely it's wrong.
It is a no. 1 minute. 1 minute.
Likewise,
1 minute.
this. I mean, who is this?
No, I'm sorry.
No. 1 minute. Who it is? The fact is that in Mumbai, which is India's herbs prima city, brand Mumbai, brand Maharashtra, brand India takes a hit when something like this happens. But just a minute. I want to make it very clear that stand-up comedians in particular are soft targets. Jokes are no laughing matter. Right to free speech, remember, is enshrined with reasonable restrictions under Article 19. But what is happening now is my right to take offense. We are easily offended, and many stand-up comedians therefore become particularly vulnerable. In March 2025, Shiv Seniks vandalized a club over Kunal Kamra. But that's not the only time. February 2025, Ranveer Allahabadia, other YouTubers were then called out for vulgarity, which I believe was important in its sense, but again raised questions over where does free speech lines be drawn. November 2021, Veer Das, celebrated stand-up, was booked after his show Two Indias in Washington, D.C., targeted politicians across the board. In January 2021, it went worse. Munawar Farooqi was jailed for 1 month for his jokes on Hindu deities. In May 2016, and on Amit Shah, May 2016, Tanbai Bhatt was under fire for mocking Lata Mangeshkar and Sachin Tendulkar. In January 2016, Kiku Sharda was arrested for mimicking Dera Sacha Sauda chief. He got bail after the Dera chief forgave him. You see, this is the problem at the moment. Tushar Gandhi, we've been hearing, as was just suggested by Sumant Raman, that it's happening in Chennai, there's no FIR. Do you believe that liberals need to be very clear? Zero tolerance irrespective of who is in power. Whether it's a Mamta Banerjee who arrests a cartoonist for a Facebook post on her, whether it's now the DMK in the dock or the Shiv Sena in Maharashtra. Anyone who misuses power must be questioned.
Absolutely. And Rajdeep, I don't agree with this accusation that liberals are selective. Liberals always raise their voice. There are certain issues which where the voices are louder and are picked up. In other issues, you speak about them and nobody bothers. We can't tar all liberals saying they are selective. Liberals, in its actual philosophy, are across the spectrum, they don't care. Anybody does wrong or anybody uses radical methods are criticized, and it happens. I
So you're
don't
saying
see.
you condemn Tamil Nadu as much as you condemn
I
Mumbai. You're
condemn
very clear.
Revant Reddy, I condemn Tamil Nadu, I condemn everywhere where people are targeted because there are no limits on freedom of speech. If somebody
Yeah.
criminally
Because
violates it, there is a
Mr.
court, there is a
Because remember,
court,
Mr.
there is a
Gandhi,
law.
for decades, Bal Thackeray, when he was Supremo, Tokshahi was normalized even then. So the
Yes.
fact is, it's now, you say one thing when you're in opposition, one thing when you're in government.